Hello, hola, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. I am now currently heading west on I-40 in the great state of Texas. As you can see, there's windmills, there's sky, there's a whole lot of nothing, and it looks like a bunch of fog in front of me. Outstanding. Okay, that's great. Got a lovely load that I'm running today. Well, today, it's been the last couple of days. Going to from Ontario, Canada, which is where I'm from, to Henderson, Nevada, which is it's a town, but it's basically Vegas. For anybody who doesn't know, it's like South Vegas type of thing. So, which is always a great time. So I'm going to go down there. They're going to deliver tomorrow at noon local time. So I still got quite a fair bit of time to get there. And then I have to take a reset. The company wants me to take a reset, so I'm taking a reset in Vegas, which is just absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to boogie down there, deliver, zip up. There's a Petro truck stop in just on the north end of town, right near the racetrack, that typically has, I mean, it's Vegas, so parking is at a premium no matter what, but you know, I've gotten parking there every time I've stopped there. You know, that's kind of been my thing is if I've got to park at a truck stop for the night, I tend to try to land at Petros. Petros just generally have the most parking spots. You know, most of them have an iron skillet, so they've got a sit-down restaurant. Some are better than others, but they're, you know, most of them are still better than McDonald's or, you know, God forbid, vending machine food. And the parking is usually, I mean, I think, I don't know whether they're a newer truck stop, so they started building their parking with more and larger trucks in mind. But I really have yet to find a Petro that is like, you know, really, really cockeyed. I'm sure there are some, but everyone I've gone into is usually got angled parking spots, you know, lots of room in front, and lots of parking spots, right? The one I like, I can't remember exactly where it is, in Wisconsin, off of 294, or whatever it becomes, West 90 or 80, 90, no, not 80, 90. It's got probably a good 200 feet to 300 feet in, like, for a roadway in between parking spots. So it's a humongous lot. Like, I'm talking probably well over 200 spots, and there's so much room, like, and they're all angled spots. Like, you literally will always find a parking spot, and you'll always be able to get into that parking spot. Like, it's ludicrous, but again, that's brilliant. Like, that's what North America kind of needs, or truckers need, or truck stops like that, where you're not, you know, fighting your way into a little hole in the wall and hoping nobody takes your hood off, because that is the sketchiest thing in the world for me. Is if I've got to park somewhere that, again, fills up really quick or ends up attracting a lot of, like, crappy drivers pulling through. You know, I try to avoid parking at Petros and Loves. The company I'm leased on to has they do Loves fuel cards. And I hate Loves fuel. I find I have a lot of issues with fuel filters and gelling and stuff from Loves compared to Flying J and Pilot have been where I've always gotten fuel previously. At least in the United States. Canada, there's a Canadian fuel provider that I use. Pretty much everybody uses exclusively. But the Petros and Loves, like, Loves aren't bad. Loves are probably, I think they are the newest of, like, the big truck stop chains. They're still, I'm still finding ones that have just been built type of thing. They are a little bit, some of them are okay. Again, the newest ones are being designed with 75-foot tractor-trailer combinations in mind. But a lot of them are still, like, kind of weird cockeyed parking. Some of them have areas where the parking dead ends and you don't have enough room to make a U-turn. turn, so if you get in there and you can't find a spot to back into, you're going to have to back out of the way you came in, and if somebody's behind you, you're kind of stuck. The other alternative is to back in there, find a spot back in. If you can't, you can just drive out. It's still not ideal. And I find they tend to have, like I said, you tend to get a lot of like not that great a driver pulling in there. Oh, jeez. Sun in my rearview mirror. What time is it here? It'd be 7, almost 8 o'clock in the morning here in Texas, and the sun's come up. It's right in my rearview mirror. I don't know. I find like anytime I've witnessed an accident or been involved in an accident, it's been in a Petro or a Pilot or a Love. Sorry. Again, maybe that's just kind of coincidental. I don't know, but I find a lot of, like I said, Petros, Flying J's, Loves. Even, TAs on the East Coast can be cozy, but usually, again, TAs, I can find a spot most of the time, too. And they usually have restaurants. So, even though I get fuel at Loves, I'll get fuel at Loves, get a shower at Loves in the middle of the day, and then I'll spend the night in a Petro. Right? And, or like a smaller stop. Like, there's a stop I found last night it's a legitimate truck stop. And it was a great little spot. Probably enough room for, I want to say, about 30, 40 trucks. All angled parking spots. The back row you back into them, the front row are just pulled. And I had a front row spot that I could just drive straight out of, right out of the exit, and I was only like, 150 feet from the door. Great spot. Had a little like pizzeria inside where they actually make your food. They had an outfitter store if you wanted to buy, I guess whatever generic cowboy boots and stuff like that. But, if you want to pretend like you're a buckle money, I guess that's the place to go. But there are some like mom and pop, or I guess kind of smaller one-off stops that are actually pretty good. But if I've got to stop at a big truck stop, I want it to be a Petro. Especially if I'm doing a reset, right? Because again, I'm hoping that I'll get there, like I'm trying to set it up so like I'll probably get to Flagstaff. I might get to Flagstaff tonight. Depends on how the weather is ahead of me. The temperature here is supposed to get up to about 18 degrees Celsius, which is somewhere around 60, 65 Fahrenheit. But right now it's sitting at 1 degree above freezing, so I don't, as it stands right now, we're not quite at the nice warm temperatures I really want for just screaming down the highway, right? The roads can get icy here, especially with the wind. There's a high wind warning through New Mexico, so I might have to take it a bit slow through there. And beyond that, I want to try to more or less keep the left door closed today as much as possible. I'm going to stop for fuel probably in Tucumcari. There's a Loves there, get fuel, get going. And want to get to, like I said, Flagstaff, or almost, I want to get into Arizona at least, because then I'm hopefully only about 5 or 6 hours to my delivery. And I want to set it up so that I'm leaving, because the delivery is in Pacific time. So it's noon Pacific time. So I've got to, if I shut down at the time that I hope I get to shut down tonight, I'll be able to get up at like 1 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow morning, which gives me 11 hours to get there, right? So that means I should be able to get there for 6 to 8 in the morning local time. Hopefully they'll offload me right away, right? It shouldn't take too long to unload this stuff, and I should be out of there and be able to get to the truck stop before noon. That way, I'm able to, what was I going to say here? I'm able to get a spot, for one, hopefully find a spot near the back that's tucked away that I can either nose into and get out of, or I'm against a light pole or a curb, so that I don't have, there's a couple of tips you can take to not get hit in the truck stop. Some of them will get you looked at funny, but, again, I'd rather keep my hood. That's kind of what I'm looking at now, is, trying to land there somewhat early so I can basically have a reset. I likely will not. I think my dispatch will probably scheduling my reload with the expectancy or the expectation that I will be there doing a reset until Thursday morning. I can't imagine that they will try to book me a load, unless the load's up the street for anything earlier than Saturday. Right now, their tentative idea, which is I guess what happens on most of these loads out to Henderson, is I will deliver in Henderson, run empty all the way back to Illinois, and load out of Quincy, Illinois to go back to Canada. That totally works for me because I get paid the same mileage no matter whether I'm loaded or empty. So empty miles means better fuel economy, means I make more money. So I'm alright with that. We don't really have anything to load out of the West Coast at all. I think they were trying to, my company was working on something to load out of California, but it hasn't come to fruition yet. Yeah, whatever he said. So, so as of right now, they've got me going all the way back to Illinois. So I'm alright with that. Again, empty miles are cheap miles, but they're also miles that pay me the same. So, yeehaw. Beyond that, I'm going to try to really enjoy my reset in Vegas. I'm weird, I guess, when it comes to a lot of truck drivers. I actually like, Jesus, phone's bouncing around. I like doing my resets on the road. I kind of always enjoyed having a day and a half to just relax, clean the truck, play some video games, maybe see the sights if I'm somewhere like Vegas or somewhere where I'm just a quick Uber ride away from something interesting, right? And actually kind of just relax. Because anybody else that owns their own truck will tell you the same thing. When you get home, if you're home for 2 days, the first full day is spent doing stuff with the truck, right? Because you got to finish up your paperwork. You got to get, anything fixed that needs fixing. Do your grease jobs. Do an oil change. All the small maintenance stuff. Do your laundry, right? All of that stuff's got to be done. And really, if you want at least one day, that's kind of a cool Century too. That's if you want at least one day, kind of off. There's no Mac. If you want a day on your own to kind of relax and do whatever, you kind of got to cram everything in at least one of those 2 days. And heaven forbid, like I get, a lot of the shorter stuff we do, I'm home just for a reset, which in Canada is 36 hours compared to 34, but that's still only a day and a half. So after that, you're going back to work, so you kind of feel as though you didn't really accomplish any relaxation, right? So I have always preferred longer trips where I do a reset halfway through the trip, because then I get, I get as much stuff done that I want to get done to the truck while I'm on the reset, which means that when I get home, unless something else has happened, when I get home, I get to sit and relax, right? I mean, I'm going to go home, do paperwork and laundry, and relax. And I'll still get a chance to relax on this reset. And again, the timing is nice that I'm going to have Tuesday afternoon, all of Wednesday, and like Wednesday night to do whatever I want, more or less, and then leave, again, Thursday morning type of thing. I'm probably going to go see, I'm kind of into ghosts and stuff, so there's a TV show called Ghost Adventures, and I hope I'm not getting in trouble for plugging them. I've always liked the show. It's kind of entertaining. I've been to one or two of the spots, at least one spot where they've filmed, actually they've been there twice. It was really cool, so I figured, like, the main host of the show lives in Vegas and owns the a museum full of haunted stuff. So I was like, hey, you know what, I want to go take a tour. Be something to do, right? So there's, you know, I've got that for plan, and otherwise it's just relaxation and cleaning the truck. You know, gonna vacuum inside, scrub the dash, clean, you know, whatever, the windows, all that kind of nonsense. See if I can find a decent truck wash. You know, I don't honestly know what Vegas has, because I usually go right through Vegas. This will be the only time this will be the first time I've ever done a reset in Vegas. So I've spent the night in Vegas before, but never, you know, done an actual reset or anything. So I'm not entirely sure what they have there, but it should be kind of fun, I guess. Except even if it's very least for the, you know, the chance to experience some warm temperatures. Warm being kind of in air quotes, because, you know, it'll be like 45, 50 degrees, but it's still better than fucking 20 below, which is what most of the Midwest has had the last couple of weeks. The downside is that most of the Midwest is total anarchy. I originally had the idea that I was going to film a video a day and then release it the next day. So that way, if I had a situation like I had yesterday, I could film 2 videos in one day, release one that day and then one the next day. So I would always try to be ahead on these videos. And like yesterday, I lost a bunch of time. I left the truck stop in just on the east side of St. Louis, and like just still in Illinois. And it took me 4 hours to get more or less 10 miles down the road. I think that's an exaggeration. It was more like 40 to 50 miles down the road, because they had a massive freezing rainstorm. Right, so the highway was just screwed. I went through there and I'm trying to think here. First accident I saw were 2 guys on the right, 2 trucks. One was flammable, like explosively flammable tanker, was wedged in between the guardrail and another truck that was like, you know, pushed into him sideways, and then the tractor was jackknifed in front of the guy, so he couldn't go anywhere. You know, the next one were 2 trucks stuck against each other and against the guard. Well, no, sorry, they were in front of each other on the left shoulder, but they were half into the lane because the shoulder was like narrow, like the one on my left now. And then the big one was, I think it was 8 trucks, were all flipped over. One was right upside down. They were fucking destroyed. The cops were just getting there. You know, as I was going through, I realized that most of these accidents had happened in the last 15, 20, 30 minutes. Right? None of them had yellow tape or anything on them yet. There were a couple of spots where cranes were already lifting the trucks out. But by and large, like, a lot of those accidents were, you know, within the last half hour to an hour, I guess. And I thought it was odd because I never had any traction issues. I mean, I don't drive like an idiot. I'm pretty I'm very comfortable driving in bad weather. Again, I'm Canadian. I'm used to driving in snow. I've got all across western Canada, which is quite a good deal farther north than where I live. And, you know, I've driven on a road that was a sheer sheet of ice, and you could tell it was ice. And just maintain your speed. Don't do anything crazy or erratic, and you're fine. Same thing there. Like a couple times when we were stopped and we started to move, we were up the hill, like brake traction of it starting to move, but beyond that, I had no issues. So I'm not saying that I'm a great truck driver. All those guys that spun out are idiots. But I think, you know, I think a lot of guys were just far too nervous for the for the conditions, because the conditions weren't that bad. But they're supposed to get a huge bunch of, again, all that freezing rain and stuff is supposed to go into the upper Midwest, and that's going to just turn it into absolute anarchy. And I'm hoping that it's gone by the end of this week, because like I said, it won't be until the end of this week that I get back into that area. But if it's not, like, it's just going to be just a pain in the ass to, you know, putt along through. You know, and any driver will tell you, like, time is precious when you're trucking. You know, you've got however many miles you think you need to cover that day, and you've got to get them done. Like, I mean, it's not bad out here, but I am basically throwing fuel economy out the window. And doing 70 miles an hour instead of, I usually sit around 60, like 62 to 65. What I want to, again, because I'm now out in the flat roads where they're not frozen, and it's the first day since I've left where I can see the sun. I want to try to make up for the time that I lost yesterday. And, you know, and it helps that the speed limit out here is 75 miles an hour, so I'm still 5 miles an hour below the speed limit. Right? So it's nice that I can kind of open up a little bit here. And it'll be the same thing going back. Like going back empty, I'll be fucking 80 across this stretch. And, because I know that I'm going to lose a lot of that time when I get back up into the Midwest. Because A, the speed limits are slower, and B, there's likely to be a bunch of weather. So it's, you know, kind of not imperative. Like you do what you do, and doing what I do is not particularly stressful. I should make a video about what I do, but I don't know if I'd have half an hour worth of information. I probably do. I can ramble and bullshit for half an hour. I'm pretty good at that nonsense, so why not? But let's see here. Let me think of important things in my life that are going on right now. There's probably nothing. You know, again, beyond staying out here, we were hoping, there's a buddy of mine lives in California, we were hoping he would find a load into Vegas so we, you know, meet and go party or something, but I don't think it's going to happen, so there's that. Otherwise, I'm kind of glad I'm back out this way. I haven't been out here for at least a year. You know, everywhere I've kind of worked for previously, like we had a couple of loads into Wichita Falls, Texas, but you're kind of only just getting into the country, into the state. Why is this guy driving around with his friggin' high beams on when the sun's on? Like, that's still annoying. Like, it's daylight, but it's still annoying to have fucking high beams on. Like, why do you do that? Fucking go-head. I used to run back and forth to the West Coast all the time, and I absolutely loved it. There's a lot of guys that hate California, and I understand why. Right? CHP can be a little horny for truckers. The speed limit is a huge difference. Right? There are things, but again, it's the same. Like, I won't lie. Speed limit in California is 55 for trucks. I do 60, 62, and I've had CHP go by me and no problem. Right? They got locals doing friggin' 80 up and down the roads that they're more interested in. So, you know, unless you're being stupid, you're fine. They still kind of have that same tolerance everywhere else has. You know, 5-6 mile an hour over the speed limit is okay. It's just their speed limit is lower. So yeah, I set my cruise for 60 and away I go. But you know, a lot of guys, the emission stuff is a problem. I bought a new truck. You know, at the time I bought this truck, I was supposed to be doing a lot more California than I am. So I bought it with emissions. I mean, it's got the newer X15 Cummins, which are supposed to be a lot better with their emission stuff. I think the general consensus is they're phenomenal. Jury's still out yet. I've only got like 70,000 miles on this thing. 73,000 to be exact. So the truck is still too new to really know exactly how it's going to do. Like, my dad's got over 160,000 on his X15 and he's had no issues at all. So I think it's probably likely that I'll be totally fine with this thing. But it's, what are we at, 96? I've got another 90 miles to Mexico. I think it's another 40 miles. Yeah, I got lots of fuel to get to keep and carry. I thought about stopping at this Love's, but I still got, like, you know, basically the halfway between a half and 3/4 of the tank. So I wouldn't really be adding that much fuel. But I you know, when the last company I worked for was pretty much all local Ontario stuff. The company before that, the farthest I went was just into Texas. Before that, I ran the West Coast. I said I love it. I love once you get out here, and it's nothing but flat road and high speed limits, and the population is so much lower, right? You're not dealing with, you know, all through Missouri. Yesterday, in Missouri, it was a zoo, and yesterday was Sunday, right? You'd think there wouldn't be that many people out, but the highways were busy as can be because there's so many people living there. We're out here, like, it's Monday, and this is technically rush hour, and while granted I'm not in a town, 130 miles from Tucumcari. I got more than 130 miles worth of fuel in this thing. Out here, there isn't that much traffic, right? I love it out here, right? You get Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada. I mean, California gets busy, but California also has like a wonderful climate to sit around in, so I'm okay with that. And I find California drivers and four-wheelers they're aggressive, but they're assertive. So if a guy cuts me off, he cuts me off and he's gone, right? He just dinks into my lane, and he's it's because he's going way faster. So yes, it's frustrating that he cut me off, but at the same time, I don't now have to deal with a guy that, basically cut in front of me half a car length ahead and is now sitting there, and I have to figure out what I'm going to do before a cop pulls me over for following too close, right? Where I find on the flip side, the southeast, right, anywhere from the Virginias down, guys will, I'll be doing 65, they'll pass me doing 66, get right in front of me, and then all of a sudden they go 64. And you're like, what the fuck? You go around them, well, then they speed up. And then you get behind them, they slow down because they have no concept of fucking throttle control. Or you'll get guys come off of an on-ramp, and I'm doing 65, they're doing 66, and they're right next to me while their ramp's gone. They're on the shoulder, and they're wondering why I won't move over for them. I got cars on my left doing fucking 65 and a half, so I can't go anywhere. Maybe you should have figured it out and paid attention to what you were trying to merge into. Right? Again, North America, it is the entirety of North America, because Canada's the same. If you want to merge into a lane, it is your responsibility to ensure that lane is clear and safe for you to merge into. It is not the responsibility of the people already in that lane. A lot of people forget that. So it's, I had 2 days ago. And, same thing, cars on my left. Car comes down the ramp, and I can't move anywhere. And he, same thing, he's doing more or less the same speed I'm doing. But I shouldn't say that, he was going a lot slower because I passed him as he was coming onto the ramp, right? And I could see him, he's putting his hands up in the air, and dude, you're trying to merge onto the highway at 50 miles an hour, and you're still in the ramp. I'm doing 65. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. I can't slow down that hard, that fast. I can't speed up anymore. Well, then he's very fast, and I can't move over. So they get in behind me, he goes around me, and his wife just gives me a finger the entire time they go by. I'm like, that's nice. That's really nice. So I just sat there with my high beams on, even though it's daytime, so there's nothing I can fucking do. But it was, again, mildly frustrating because there is, like, what am I going to do? Like, I can't move anywhere. I can't just come to a stop. So a lot of truck drivers, I feel like that's kind of one of the primary sources of frustration with trucking, are people in cars that don't understand what trucks need and what they what we have to deal with, right? And I've spoken to some people, and the general response is ignorance, right? I think I will do a whole video on ignorant four-wheelers too. Like, I'm coming up with so many ideas for videos that I'll forget the second I stop filming this, and then just go back into rambling later. It's great. Oh man, it's mind of a goldfish. It's the best thing ever. So that's so far my status update for the day. Kids, boils and ghouls. So you all have a wonderful day, and I don't know, try not to drive into the ditch or any of that crap. All you people in the upper Midwest are just, dealing with icy weather. Don't drive. Just don't drive. Just don't go in the ditch. Don't drive. Put winter air in your tires and make sure that you keep your blinker fluid topped off. Okay? Have a good time, kids.